Yeah, hi there, and these comments are for one of my students in my online TOEFL course, and you are one of my TOEFL writing bootcamp students, and you have paid me or paying me to error correct one of your independent writing practice tests. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So the topic is, this is my independent writing practice test 1. Many students have to live with roommates while going to a school or university. What are some of the most important qualities of a good roommate? Use specific reasons and examples to explain why these qualities are important. So after reading your essay, this is a score I'm going to give you. It's 3.5 out of 5, 22 points out of 30 on this practice test. According to the rubric here, at 22 points out of 30, you have some problems with sentence formation and word choice. I think that's a problem. You have maybe accurate but limited range of sentence structures and vocabulary. So it's probably a lot of language use issues that's giving you the score that you get right now. Alright, so let's take a look at each of the paragraphs. Now I'm going to walk you through each paragraph by making some corrections. Okay, I'm going to take this idea. I think it's better to put it in the beginning. So you put your dependent clause first. So after their high school graduation, you might put here, many students have to leave their parents. You probably say it like that. So after the high school graduation, many students have to leave their parents to move to another city or country where they will attend a university. So I'm not going to capitalize it because you didn't give the name of the school there. Okay, as a first year of attending university, I'm going to get rid of "it is" and just say students will find difficulties I don't even think you need to say that. They'll find difficulties living because you said students plural, I'm going to make this plural. I'm going to get rid of "I think" and just say some qualities are important to live comfortably with someone, such as a roommate who behaves correctly and who is a first year student with a similar academic major. Probably don't have to say "like you." I suggest for these following reasons I will. You don't even need to say that. That doesn't really do very much. So sometimes when you're writing, you want to make sure everything that you do, it helps advance the argument that you're trying to make, and it provides the necessary information so your audience can understand what you're trying to say. So some of what you say sometimes is not, it's just not really necessary. So let's check your first paragraph, see how many words you are. If you're close to 100, you're good. You're 72, so I'm going to probably add something in here. I've added a little bit more information into this first paragraph to develop it a little bit more. So let's go over to word count. Now we're up to from 72 to 112 words, right? Okay, let's see what we have here. So, after their high school graduation, many students have to leave their parents to move to another city or country where they will attend a university. Choosing where to study will depend on many factors, such as price, location, specializations offered, and the availability of financial aid. And students will also have to choose with whom they will share apartments or dorms. During the first year of attending a university, students will find difficulties living with foreign roommates. Some qualities are important to live comfortably with someone and to avoid conflict, such as a roommate who behaves correctly and who is a first-year college student with a similar academic major. There we go. And that is the first paragraph, okay? So let's move ahead. First of all, a roommate who behaves correctly will have respect to the person with whom he or she shares the room. Don't need a comma here. Don't need any commas in this sentence except after the transition word. Okay, so why is that? So in this case, you're not putting a comma after roommate. If you said this, a roommate here, and then you have this one, it might work. But because a roommate is not very specific, the adjective clause is needed to clarify that idea. So we look at this as a restrictive element which does not need any punctuation at all. So a roommate who, you want to make that singular because roommate. A roommate who behaves correctly will have respect to the person with whom she shares the room. And if you want to use the word and, you can create a compound sentence here. You can just do that. And the roommate will understand that she has some duties, such as to clean the room, and to clean the dishes after using. You want to put them there, not it. So you're using them to refer back to dishes, which is plural, so a plural pronoun is going to work better. And I'm taking note on what some of your problems are here too. In addition, all roommates should not that in a room everything has its place. You want to say roommates should know that in a room everything has its place. Instead of an example, say this. For example, I had a friend who had experienced with a, you might say, disorganized roommate when she was first in college. Probably don't have to say this sentence. roommate, you want to say threw, not the preposition. So her roommate threw things everywhere. And as an adult, it was very difficult to spend her time making remarks to her roommate, because by doing that, they would not get along at this end. This is where you're running into some pretty big problems here. You're having trouble trying to explain what you're saying here. So why she could not leave her belongings. This is a good word for you, awkward here. You could have used it, but you didn't. So her roommate threw things everywhere, and my friend found it awkward having to explain to a grown woman why she could not leave her belongings spread out in the common living spaces. How about this? My friend having to scold her roommate's unkempt behaviors made their relationship rocky. So let me get rid of all that. This is what you were trying to say, but you couldn't quite say. So her roommate threw things everywhere, and my friend found it awkward having to explain to a grown woman why she could not leave her belongings spread out in the common living spaces. My friend having to scold her roommate's unkempt behaviors made the relationship rocky. How about this grammar? I'm using a possessive word plus a gerund phrase as a subject. So my friends having to scold her roommates' unkempt behaviors made their relationship rocky, which means they're having difficulty getting along. And that's a little bit better type of vocabulary word that shows you have a little bit better command of the language there, right? Edit the paragraph one more time here. So first of all, a roommate who behaves correctly will have respect to the person with whom she shares the room, and the roommate will understand that she has some duties such as to clean the room and to clean the dishes after using them. In addition, all roommates should know that in a room everything has its place. For example, I had a friend who had experience. I'm going to get rid of that past participle, say a friend who had experience with a disorganized and dirty roommate when she was first in college. Her roommate threw things everywhere, and my friend found it awkward having to explain to a grown woman why she could not leave her belongings spread out in the common living spaces. My friends having to scold her roommate's unkempt behaviors made the relationship rocky. I would probably say something like that. So obviously if the two cannot get along together well, they will soon have to part ways and look for new roommates. Let's go to your next paragraph. Second, to be in your first year is very important. I'm going to say this, another important quality compatible is that they are both in their first year and share the same academic discipline. For example, one of my friends who was in her first year at the university, I'm going to give you an adjective clause there. I think that's going to work better. So one of my friends who was in her first year at the university had a roommate who had only one course to take per week to graduate. You might say here, however, my friend was in her first was a first year. I'm going to make this a first year university dental student. I'm going to combine these. However, my friend was a first-year university dental student with a very heavy load schedule, and her roommate spent all her time bringing some friends to her room. They spent all their time making noise, and my friend could not study. I'm going to say could not concentrate on her studies in her room and I'm going to put a transition word in here. My friend, therefore, to show that connection. They spent all their time making noise, and my friend, therefore, could not concentrate on her studies in her room. Sometimes her roommate went out and came home late at night and started cooking in the room. And then the last thing I think you want to see her finally, when she could no longer tolerate when she could no longer tolerate the behavior of her roommate I would say maybe looking for another roommate with whom she compatible. Those are some of the changes I would make in this paragraph. The paragraph is actually pretty developed, but you're just having a few word choice and some sentence structure issues in there. And let's take a look at it. As long as your paragraph is over 100 words, you're good. Yeah, you're almost 150 here, right? Take a look at this paragraph one more time. So second, another important quality in order for two roommates to be compatible is they are both in their first year and share the same academic discipline. For example, one of my friends who was in her first year at the university had a roommate who had only one course to take per week to graduate with a major in, I'm going to just make this up, but you want to illustrate two things through this example based on your topic sentence. They had different majors, they didn't have the same discipline, and they weren't in the same year of college. Those are the two things. That's why I put this in. So I'm assuming that the friend probably had a different major. Say, however, my friend was a first-year dental student with a very heavy load schedule, and her roommate spent all her time bringing friends to their room. They spent all their time making noise, and my friend therefore could not concentrate on her studies. Sometimes her roommate went out and came home late at night and started cooking in the room. Finally, when she could no longer tolerate the behavior of her roommate, she began looking for another roommate with whom she could be more compatible. To sum up, it's very difficult for a student to live. You want to say live here, not leave, right? To live with someone if instead of saying you, I'm going to say if the two do not have the same behavior. Probably have to say that. It's very difficult for a student to live with someone if the two do not have the same behavior, are not in the same year of collegiate study, and do not share the same major. Choose a roommate. So to choose a roommate, you might maybe say as a result, use a connector here. To choose a roommate, instead of saying it's very important here, how about this? How about say the word crucial. Crucial means really important. So your vocabulary, you can definitely improve your vocabulary. To choose a roommate is crucial. they avoid, I'm going to say they avoid having compatibility issues in the future. I think that's it. To sum up, it is very difficult for a student to live with someone if the two do not have the same behavior, are not in the same year of collegiate study, and do not share the same major. As a result, to choose a roommate is crucial, and students must look for some qualities so they avoid having compatibility issues in the future. And the one thing I'd recommend here that would probably help you is this topic sentence. You're talking about being in the same year with the same academic discipline. You could probably spend another paragraph focusing on the academic discipline, and then this paragraph just focuses on being in the same year of study. And then you have 3 body paragraphs instead of 2. That would also help you show a little bit more depth and complexity of thought to your ideas. Okay, let's go through it one more time. I'm going to double check, do some spell check. Okay, I think we're pretty good here. Okay, let's read the whole thing one more time though. Now I noticed that sometimes you're changing words into words that just simply don't fit in there, and I have a feeling that you're using spell check, and spell check is giving you the wrong word. So don't do that. That causes serious problems with your communication. So make sure that every word you use, it exactly fits in a very precise way to express the idea that you're trying to say in that sentence. All right, let's go through the whole essay one more time. After their high school graduation, many students have to leave their parents to move to another city or country where they will attend a university. Choosing where to study will depend on many factors such as price, location, specializations offered, and the availability of financial aid. And students will also have to choose with whom they will share apartments or dorms. During the first year of attending university, students will find difficulties living with foreign roommates. Some qualities are important to live comfortably with someone and to avoid conflicts, such as a roommate who behaves correctly and who is a first-year college student with a similar academic major. First of all, a roommate who behaves correctly will have respect to the person with whom she shares the room, and the roommate will understand that she has some duties such as to clean the room and to clean the dishes after using them. In addition, all roommates should know that in a room everything has its place. For example, I had a friend who had experience with a disorganized and dirty roommate when she was first in college. Her roommate threw things everywhere, and my friend found it awkward having to explain to a grown woman why she could not leave her belongings spread out in the common living spaces. My friends having to scold her roommate's unkempt behaviors made the relationship rocky. Obviously, if the two cannot get along together well, they will soon have to part ways and look for new roommates. Second. Now, if you say second, or first of all, then you should probably say second of all here. Another important quality in order for two roommates to be compatible is that they are both in their first year and share the same academic discipline. For example, one of my friends who was in her first year at the university had a roommate who had only one course to take per week to graduate with a major in psychology. However, my friend was a first-year university dental student with a very heavy load schedule, and her roommate spent all her time bringing friends to their room. They spent all their time making noise, and my friend, therefore, could not concentrate on her studies. Sometimes her roommate went out and came home late at night and started cooking in their room. Finally, when she could no longer tolerate the behavior of her roommate, you might say my friend here, began looking for another roommate with whom she could be more compatible. To sum up, it is very difficult. Don't even need very, really. It doesn't do much in this sentence. It is difficult for a student to live with someone if the two do not have the same behavior and are not in the same year of collegiate study and do not share the same major as a result. To choose a roommate is crucial, and students must look for some qualities so that they avoid having compatibility issues in the future. And there it is. So what I did is, your essay, which scored 3.5 out of 5 or 22 points out of 30, you're having, I added a little bit of information in the introduction, which you saw me do, but you're having some problems with capitalization. You're a little bit too wordy sometimes in your writing. You're having problems with punctuation, pronoun agreement, using adjective clauses, and even word choice. So some of these issues are making it hard for you to get that higher score, and you need to solve these issues, these editing issues, in order to advance your writing proficiency. What are some things that you can do right now in order to advance your writing proficiency? Now, you probably are wondering right now, well, why in the heck do you have all of these different sections of your course? But I'm going to tell you why right now. Because I have vocabulary, I have pronunciation, I have grammar, I have listening, reading, I have speaking and writing. Because students, when they're doing writing and speaking practice, when they're having some proficiency issues, it could probably be traced to problems not just with speaking and writing, but in other areas. For example, you're having a lot of vocabulary issues. You're not always sure what word you need to use in order to explain your idea. So to help you with vocabulary, you want to learn the vocabulary words in lesson number 4, vocabulary lesson number 5, and vocabulary lesson number 6. There are specific instructions in those lessons on how you can learn those words. You should really do that. That's going to be really, really helpful for you. Okay, now I'm going to give you another thing. This doesn't really involve my website as much. Well, maybe it does. If you go to the reading and the listening part of my course, there's reading practice tests, there's listening practice tests, right? So you can practice reading the passages, listening to the lectures, take down some notes, and then practice writing summaries, maybe 150 to 250 word summaries. The key here is you're trying to get used to using more academic English, and if you write about what's in those lectures and those reading passages, that will help you to accomplish that goal. So that's another thing that you can begin doing on a day-to-day basis. Okay, let's go to the grammar part of my course and let's see what's going on here. I think that you do need some practice. Lesson number 4, sentences with appositives. Lesson number 5, compound sentences. And you were not sure about adjective clauses. So lesson number 6, I think is good. What else? Lesson number 11, subject verb inversions, I think is good for you. Lesson 13, word choice. Yes, you want to take a look at that lesson. Lesson number 14, parallel structures. Sometimes you do have parallelism issues. Lesson 15, word order. Yes, you can benefit by studying that lesson. Lesson 16, count and non-count nouns. Yes, take a look at that. Let's see, gerunds and infinitives. Yes, that's something that you can take a look at also. Lesson number 24. I think lesson number 26 is a good lesson for you right now based on your level. And yes, yes, and double yes or triple yes for lesson 27, being more concise. You saw several times when I actually eliminated unnecessary words in sentences in your paragraphs. So why did I do that? That's why you want to look at this lesson. Lesson 28, absolutely, when to use commas, when not to use commas. I think that's something that you want to take a look at. That's a good start. Okay, there you go. So those are some of my suggestions. So what I just did here, this is what's called a diagnostic writing examination. So I looked at your writing, I corrected it, I gave you some feedback, and I also told you specific writing problems that you're having, and then what lessons you can study in order to overcome those problems. You see what I'm saying? Now what do? Keep practicing. Study these recommended lessons, right? And keep doing practice tests. Now, from now on, my teaching assistant will read and score all practice tests that you send me. Now, because you're my TOEFL Writing Bootcamp student, you have one more writing practice test that you can have me error correct. I suggest that you have me error correct an integrated writing practice test so I can see how you're organizing that type of writing also. Does that make sense? So whenever you're ready, you can send me an integrated writing practice test. Now, if you don't, for whatever reason, want to send me an integrated writing practice test, you can send me another independent writing. But I'm just giving you my advice. So as my writing bootcamp student, you can actually get feedback on 2 different essays, video feedback on 2. Now, you can submit essays every day. I don't video correct all of them. I just do 2. And now my teaching assistant will correct the other ones that you sent. Does that make sense? So you still have one more essay that I can video correct, and you can send that to me when you want. And have a good day. So I hope that this particular essay or this particular video has given you some good ideas on things that you can do to improve your writing proficiency so you can score higher on the TOEFL exam.